our closing session. Haha, this is going to be a very interesting session as we are finishing here also our joint charter with lots of inputs from the guest speakers in the lightning talks and others that would moderate the World Cafe tables. And for the ones who have notes from this morning, we will send the link to the shared document where we are generating the input for our joint charter. So I'm not going to ask the closing panel to comment on that for the moment. I think it's really too much at this stage. We are going to mature all these ideas that were wonderfully generated by these discussions and at the tables. But instead, I think we can do something else. And I'm sure Rebecca Cook, already here present, will have a way to figure out a nice closing panel. This panel will be hybrid in the sense that there are our guest speakers are attending remotely. We have representations from all over the world. They are already online in different time zones. This is incredible and very, very thankful for you guest speakers online that are joining, and also to Padma Roy for making an excellent hybrid co-hosting. As I'm hosting here in the room, Padma has been hosting online discussions, and all together we'll compile an interesting document, I suppose, and also relevant and actionable on what we call the joint charter for secondary health data usage. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce our closing session chair and moderator. Rebecca Cook is a Chief Data Officer at Digital Health and Care Wales. Is an accomplished leader with 19 years of experience in digital and data roles within the NHS Wales. Joining DHCW in 2005, she has driven transformative change through data, focusing on health and social care innovation. As Head of Information Design and Standards Development, she champions data-driven decision-making and strategic partnerships to enhance healthcare delivery. A round of applause for Rebecca, and thank you for joining here on the call.
Very kind of the comms colleagues who wrote that about me. Thank you very much. So some of you may have met me yesterday. I was participating in the Five Nation, I think, panel discussion. I'm going to stay here. I can stand, okay? Can stand or so it was quite a surprise to me to be moderating this panel. So I haven't met the panel in advance. Apologies, I'm stepping in. But I'll try and close this up with some reflections on the event over the last few days and some next steps forward, which I was prepared to do. So online we have, I should open my list before we try and start this, or I'll do a terrible job. Now I'm opening day one. That was yesterday. Brilliant. Okay, so I should have Jérôme online. Do I? Yes, I do. Nice to meet you. And Iñaki, is that online or in the room? Iñaki, would you like to join? Thank you. I should also have Jason online. Yes? Okay. I mean, the first step is to get your panel in order, isn't it? So we'll do, we'll do that first. Okay, and Osama's online as well? It's Osama. Brilliant. Perfect. And they're both here. I'm just going to trust that they're here and they're going to speak when I ask them to speak. So firstly, should we just do some quick introductions? So I'll start in the room. You know me, and I'm going to pass over. Do you need a microphone?
Yep. I think I've introduced myself previously. So it is Iñaki Gutiérrez-Ibarluzea. I'm the Director of Health, Innovation, Research and Evaluation of the Ministry for Health in the Basque country, trying to be independent, but still part of Spain.
Thank you very much. And then if I can ask Jérôme would you like to introduce yourself quickly online, please?
So Jérôme de Barros, so I'm a policy officer in the European Commission, so in the Directorate for Health. And over the past few years, worked mainly on the European health data space, so the regulations for the use and use of health data.
Perfect. And Jason, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Let me just make sure that my video and audio are working properly.
Audio is working, but we can't see you yet.
Okay. Let's see. Oops.
Yes. You've
Now.
appeared like magic there on the screen.
Okay, good. So thank you very much for the invitation to participate on this important panel with esteemed colleagues. I am Jason Lee. I'm the director of the Healthcare Forum at the Open Group. The Open Group is an international standards development organization that works across multiple industries. In the Healthcare Forum, we have been working on interoperability going back 11, 12 years ago. We became the steward of the Federal Health Information Model, which is what the US government had developed through its architectural resources, but ultimately asked us to become stewards of and sort of went the way of the private sector. More importantly, I think for this conversation, our focus has been on a value-based architecture. And so this is an introduction, so I'll talk about that a little bit later. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. And Osama?
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here. So my name is Osama Elhassan. I'm a software engineer by training. However, I carry more than 23 years of experience in digital health. I'm actually a digital health specialist at Dubai Health Authority, which is the regulator of the healthcare system in Dubai, UAE, where we have a lot of activities around health information exchange and genomic. We have also a national genomic project, and we do a lot with regard to policies and regulations relating them together. Thank you.
Perfect. And if I'd have met you all in advance, I could have really practiced on the pronunciation of the names. So finally, Padmavathi, is that correct? Did I do a good job? Perfect. Thank you. No.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I am Padma from Data First AI Later initiative. So I have around 25 plus years of experience, and here Jason Lee is already there. I was a previous chair of the Healthcare Forum. So yeah, that's about me.
Perfect, thank you. And thank you for bearing with me on those introductions of our panel. So I think the first part of the conversation we wanted to explore within this session is around policy and regulation. So Jérôme, would you like to share with us some of the EU priorities for the European health data space?
Certainly. So the European data space is a recently launched regulation, so it was adopted and came into force March this year on the use and use of health data. So what it does is to provide a framework for enabling, firstly, cross-border exchange of health data. So making sure that all European citizens have access to their own data and are able to use it outside their country. Or, for example, one of the services enable these e-prescriptions. So the idea is to make it possible for Europeans to have prescriptions issued in one country and the medicine retrieving anywhere in Europe, really. That's what we do when it comes to what we call primary use, so healthcare. And then we have a framework for the reuse of health data, so for secondary uses, where here we define a set of rules for making it possible for a researcher to access health data from any country in Europe for agreed purposes. So, and for this, we also have an infrastructure to enable communication. And as part of the rule, we also set a series of measures, let's just say, to ensure that when data is made available, it is done in a safe way. So that implies a new governance at member state level and technical requirements. For example, data is only made available in a secure processing environments. That's just a fancy word for TREs, really. So really trying to harmonize our data is accessed in Europe for use of health data. So moving on from this fragmented approach we have in Europe, where every country have different set of rules for different types of data, sometimes not from provider to provider, really. So we try to offer an alternative with this harmonized framework.
So I've been following actually quite a lot of the EHDS news. Particularly, we've been looking at the EHDS standards around data exchange as part of the work that we're doing in Wales to exchange data across the country using our sort of All Wales platforms. What are the sort of timelines for I suppose achieving the ambitions of the EHDS?
So in terms of timelines, as I said, the regulation was adopted. So the text was agreed in March this year, and we will now have 4 years for its implementation. So the objective is to have by 2029 this broad access to health data by every EU citizens, this possibility to have that data accessed by any healthcare professional in Europe, and the framework for the reuse of health data, so making it possible for our researchers or innovators to access the data at the same time. So March 2029 is when everything will be in place.
Thank you. And I threw that question at you. It wasn't written down, so thank you for answering that for me. And you were going to provide us, I think, a bit more of a regional perspective as a sort of participant of the EHDS.
Yeah, well, we are one of the sufferers of the regulation. No, I'm joking. No, I think there has been a incredible transformation on how Europe was approaching to data and data sharing. I think yesterday the example of Wales was tremendously relevant for many senses, and also it was a way to understand how we can do it also at the European level. I think it was the difference of shared data and data sharing. That is another thing. So at the very beginning, perhaps the Commission was a little bit naive regarding the European data lake, and I think there has been a nice conversion right now to something that is much more attainable. So it is federated data with a purpose, and calling to I would say regional data lakes that are of sufficient quality and sufficient sophistication that could be pulled together in a federated way, answer questions that have Europe as a whole. On the other side, it is true that one of the challenges right now, I don't think that it is on they are on the side of technology. Probably technology has been faster in many senses in providing tools in terms of interoperability, in terms of capacity to process data. I think the challenges right now, it is on the one side, it is the incorporation of professionals and patients in this equation, that the data locally are of sufficient quality and sufficient sophistication in terms of being pulled together, answer the questions that we have as systems. And I think it is the commissioner, well, the person from the commission. I think they are in the correct direction right now. So it is it is offering the services for citizens. Another question it is what we haven't solved as a whole in Europe, that is offering similar systems and similar healthcare to any citizen in Europe. That is, I think, the challenge right now. So it is independently that we can receive prescriptions that are obviously subsidized or reimbursed locally, or independently that we can be treated when we are on holidays in Sweden, or we are on holidays in Norway, or we need to work in I don't know, in Italy. The other challenge it is if we can ground on the basis of data a system that can provide a similar healthcare for any citizen in Europe, and I think that should be our goal. If we can do it on the basis of data, for sure, but I think nowadays the breakthroughs and also the challenges and the boundaries and the barriers are much more on the political side than on the technological or even citizens' will, and perhaps those are things that we are not going to solve in this forum.
Yeah, I think we're certainly seeing some of that too. I think we invested quite a lot in terms of our technology stacks and our infrastructure, and I don't think the challenge is necessarily technical anymore. It's more about the politics and the bureaucracy and some of the governance, and how do you break through that. And presumably across Europe, I think you mentioned it there, we've got different levels of maturity in terms of data readiness. So we have the same challenge. So it's great to say we're going to adopt international standards like HL7. But if your source system's data quality don't comply with those standards and can't be mapped to it, or it's incomplete or invalid, then actually the plan sort of fails at the first hurdle, doesn't it? So I think that's really insightful, and it'll take us on quite nicely, I think, to Jason's input from the open group, particularly around that standards and interoperability agenda, which really is the bedrock of getting that data sharing in a meaningful way. Can you share with us perhaps some US perspectives on how standards can accelerate some of that trust of data and data sharing?
That's a tall order. I can say a little bit about that. And that's going back a little bit. I've been working in healthcare for over 30 years, and our focus on interoperability in the Healthcare Forum took us down a number of paths. Certainly, we came to the conclusion that interoperability is a people problem. It's not a technology problem. We looked at FHIR very carefully and concluded that FHIR works very well for one-to-one or one-to-X agreements to exchange data, but in the end, you ended up with a bunch of individual agreements which themselves don't match. And what is needed, therefore, is a common logical information model. We spoke at The Hague to the World Economic Forum about this. Data interoperability is a problem wherever you are. This conference has been excellent on describing efforts to address that issue. What we have been doing in the Healthcare Forum, and I do want to call out Dr. Roy's excellent leadership in the forum and her continued participation in the area of cybersecurity, healthcare security. What we've been doing is really working on the development of a larger framework within which this organization and others can think about data, for sure, and its centralized importance in providing healthcare. But there is an even larger framework, and that is, how does an organization provide value to its patients? And value is simply defined as quality, over cost. So the interesting and helpful thing about that concept is that you can, if you keep costs the same, you can increase quality a little bit and you've increased value. Or you can actually keep quality of care the same, however it's measured, and decrease costs, and value has been increased. So in this framework, we're developing a standard which essentially is more of a ground up approach. It's a tool that works across any healthcare environment, any industry actually, but it's specific to healthcare. And it's focused on specifying the value stream that one is interested in. So, for example, we've looked at security. We've looked at what happens if there's a major digital disruption in a cancer care center, and you're providing chemotherapy care to patients. How do you ensure that those chemotherapy patients continue to get care despite a disruption that you would think would stop the system? Obviously, those patients need to continue to get care. So in this framework, the user, the person on the ground, specifies the value stream end to end, specifies the stages of that value stream. So the typical generic approach there is what, in working with our Dutch colleagues, is called the diagnostic therapeutic cycle. So you come in, a patient wants to know what's wrong with them. They come into the hospital, they get diagnosed. That may involve a number of labs and images. A diagnosis is made, a treatment decision is offered. The patient decides to either go forward with that treatment or not. The treatment happens if they do decide so, and then they're released from the hospital. And that could be to home, or that could be to a coordinating care facility. So that's, as I say, the generic framework. The way this works, briefly, is for each of those value stream stages, and I specified the diagnostic therapeutic cycle as the generic one, one then goes about specifying what are the capabilities that are required. Clearly, data is central to this, but knowing who are the people and what are the roles and what are the skills and processes involved, as well as the information and the data and the technology and the applications. If you have that whole set of factors, which are specified in TOGAF, which is the grand standard of the open group, I would say, then you're able to map out the very complicated landscape. And in understanding how data fits in the larger picture of capabilities, then it's possible for decision makers, for high-level executives, and the managers that work for them, to see the big picture and to see where the gaps are, and to understand what kinds of actions need to be taken under certain circumstances. So that's a summary of what the value-based architecture does. It's a much larger framework. We're looking forward to working with Paul and Padma and Data First, AI Later, and developing this framework so that it will be useful to the members of this fine organization. So thank you.
Thanks, Jason. I'd certainly be interested. So a lot of that resonated with us. And I think understanding the value is really key, isn't it? I think lots of people jump straight into solutions to different problems without really understanding the value that they're trying to unlock by solving that problem. So Padma, did you want to come in? You had a nice reference there from the Data First, AI Later. Did you want to add to any of that?
Yeah, so my perspective from the lens of data first and AI later, basically the foundation for the digital health is always the data first. right? And policy regulations are not just about bringing compliance, but they are about creating trust, as the previous speakers also mentioned. If we don't get the governance in place first, right, then no matter how advanced our AI, it won't be adopted at scale. And also, Jason rightly mentioned on the standards and interoperability that our work we have been doing from the open group. I often say that it's where our philosophy truly comes alive. Is interoperability is the engine that allows trusted data to flow, and the global standards, um, as you also mentioned, the fire, and also HIPAA and GDPR. Without global standards, AI always be working with fragmented insights. But when systems are aligning, suddenly we have the ability to use data securely across the borders. And also, even we have seen in the trusted research environment the speakers mentioned, I also had many questions clarified. But that is the reason we need to have these systems aligned. Suddenly we need to develop that ability to systems talking to each other, and data is flowing securely across the borders, accelerating research, improving patient care, and creating trust in the outcomes.
Thank you. And I feel like I need a t-shirt that says data first, AI later. So I'm a chief data officer at Digital Health and Care Wales, and you'd be surprised how many people invite me to a conference to talk about AI, and I'm not the chief AI officer. But my first question is, what's your data foundations like? Well, we just want to do the AI stuff. Well, you need good, solid data foundations. You need the data to be there of good quality. You need to have those governance and frameworks in place. So, really made a friend here, I think, stepping in to moderate this panel. So I think finally I'm going to come to Osama, who I think is on the screen. Hello. And I suppose once we've got a lot of those sort of governance right, and we've thought about the standards and the interoperability and the regulatory frameworks, how do we start to put in place those practical pathways for embedding AI? So we've done the data first. How do we sort of move forward with those practical AI use cases?
Thank you very much for the question. So I have some few comments on the slogan of data first, AI later. I think maybe it's now becoming more urgent now. I think it could be data today and AI tomorrow. So we cannot wait for so long, where there's a lot of pressure coming from industry, coming even from patients, asking for more utilization of AI algorithm, not only on the efficiency side, but also at the point of care. And I believe that from the beginning, our approach to AI should be kind of risk-based approach. So we need to stratify use cases based on their attached or associated risk. And based on that, we can act. So some of those AI solutions, which do not directly affect the care in terms either of a diagnosis or treatment, these should be completely taken to a different path, comparing with AI solutions that are going to be utilized at point of care and may affect or harm patients if they deviate from the course of their actions. So we need to make sure that we identify this approach, that being a kind of, like, as I said, risk-based. One thing I believe also from the regulatory point of view, that even individual regulators like a country or a city should not take the full responsibility of deciding whether this AI model is accurate or not, even when we look at their design or how they've been developed. This should be shared even between different authorities. There should be some sort of a mechanism for regulators to have some sort of the registries of those AI models. So even if they got approved at the initial level, their implementation should be monitored, and all logs of these interactions or decision made, any incidents, any harmful incidents should be logged and distributed across all regulators, so we can identify that algorithm X is not working well in Brazil or in Australia. So maybe we can learn about that, and we can have a kind of like information that can help us to make decisions locally. So having these kind of like federated registries of AI algorithms, that would be very helpful. Having also some sort of a common societies of practitioners within AI regulation who can share experiences, do knowledge transfer from time to time. That will be also helpful for countries outside Europe and US to accelerate their regulation process. Thank you.
Thank you. So I've got data first, AI later, data today, AI tomorrow. Any other offers, let me know before I go to print, but I like them all. And AI is very much here today, isn't it? We know that people are using it, and there are ways in which we should be using AI today. So I think that risk tolerance is really important. So I'm going to open up to questions, I think, to the panel from either in the room, or if anybody can tell me whether there are any online. And then I'm quite conscious of the fact that I'm standing between the end of your day, or maybe even the end of your week if you're finishing after the session. So I'll try and close this up after a quick offer of questions. Of course. Would you like a mic?
Because you mentioned about your offer for other designations, but I have here a challenge for the forum and for also our panelists that we could start upgrading our movement, data first, AI later, to another, but this is responding to kind offer, Rebecca. Perhaps we could start to say data first, AI better. And that's a proposal.
Like it. Thanks for taking up my offer before I went to print. I saw a really good slogan, actually. One of my team is in London presenting the last 2 days, and it said something like rubbish in, disaster out, on a big sort of slogan, which was get the Big Data London event that they're in at the moment. Okay, thank you to the panel. If there's no other questions, I've got a few words, I think, to round us up and close the Health Data Forum. So I was going to start with good afternoon, everyone, because I wasn't expecting to moderate that panel. So good afternoon, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure to have the Health Data Forum hosted in Wales, and I just want to thank everybody who's participated, the speakers, the panelists, the moderators, the attendees, both here in Cardiff who have travelled, and I think many of who have joined virtually. Keep getting told we're live on different streams, which is really exciting.
And you would good weather for us.
We did put on the good weather for you here in Cardiff. I'll try and do that again next time if you're ever here. So I think the engagement and the insights that we've had over the past 3 days has really shown us what an impactful event this is. I've never participated in the Health Data Forum before. And the goal for this summit really was to drive change through data insight. And we set out to really explore how we can use health data to innovate, to improve care, and most importantly, I think, to build trust. So looking back at all of the sessions that we've had, I think that we've met that goal. We've made some really great connections, and we've had some really good insights, not just from our sort of neighbouring countries, but globally as well. There's been a huge amount of ground. I don't know if everybody's been here for the full session. I missed a little bit this morning, apologies. But there was a sort of day zero on Wednesday where there was quite a deep dive session on working together to draft a joint charter on trustworthy secondary use of healthcare data, which was, I think, a really powerful start and set the tone for the forum going forward, focusing on patient engagement, governance and equity. Yesterday was filled with, again, lots of incredible discussions. We explored a UK-wide and international approach to ethical AI. We tackled a bit of a complex question: who owns the data? Which was quite provoking. The cloud owns the data. We heard from really prestigious leaders, actually, like Michael West, who spoke to us about compassionate leadership. And we were challenged to think critically about the difference between evidence-informed and data-driven decisions. We also saw quite late, if you stuck around for the whole day yesterday, we saw a bit about how collaboration between social care and health can unlock better outcomes for society. And that's a theme that really brought our focus back to the people that we serve in the jobs that we do. I missed this morning. I've got plenty of note takers in the room, so I look forward to catching up on what I missed. But today was really about diving into the practicalities of a data-driven health revolution, looking at how AI can transform healthcare, the critical role of trusted research environments, or TREs, enabling secure and ethical research. And we address the silent but essential foundation of trust, which is cybersecurity and governance. Thanks always to my colleagues like Mark, who make sure that I'm being safe in what I do with data. So I just want to wrap up a few takeaways. First of which is, I think trust is not given, and it must be built and maintained. And that was a theme that was really strong, I think, throughout the forum, from discussing consent models to patient engagement, governance, ethics, to converge and create the trust. So it's clear that all of our work on data innovation is only as strong as the public trust that underpins it. And we must continue to be transparent and ethical in everything that we do, ensuring that patients and citizens remain at the heart of our work. The second takeaway for me was that collaboration is key to sustainable change. I think the Four Nations panel showed us sort of some of the power of cross UK collaboration. That's where I was this morning, actually, looking at what specific data endeavours we can take forward as leaders across the Four Nations. While the sessions like we just had on sort of global health highlighted the importance of sharing these sorts of frameworks across borders, whether they're bridging the gap between social care and health or aligning on national standards. Working together, I think, is how we'll achieve sustainable change. And finally, from vision to reality. So we've seen some really incredible examples of how to turn strategy into practice. We've sort of looked at different ways to move from discovery to equitable delivery. And I think our challenge now is to take the ideas and the insights from the forum over the last 3 days and think about how we embed them into our daily work, how we continue to engage with the people that we've networked with over the period. So thank you everybody again for being a part of the really vital conversation. And I'm really confident that working together, we can build a healthier and more equitable future through data. Thank you.
As always, thank you everybody. Thank you all. A round of applause for Rebecca Cook. We couldn't have a better ending with such a strong messages. Thank you so much, dear guest speakers, for shining this closing panel with your inputs or participations and your geographies, because we're representing a global hybrid summit, and this is the reason why we are global, precisely on your screens. Thank you so much, participants and summit members, for your discussions. Your presence here is what drives us, and looking forward to keep you in the loop with the joint charter that we are going to create. I have also to thank the wonderful team effort of the team. Reese, I sent you something on a WhatsApp. I'm not sure if you're able to put that screen here on the, this is a challenge. But first, thank to the AV team. This is the most professional AV team I've ever worked, facing huge challenge in terms of connections, but it was brilliant the way we all get supported here with this team. I'm making sure that I will put you on the reference on our website, if you don't mind. It's going to be something. I think also if Reese is able to face this challenge of putting the picture here, the incredible collaborative work that happened between us and DHCW, it was amazing, and the way all come through in harmony, it was fantastic. I can only imagine how patient citizens in Wales are being served by such a wonderful organization. By the way, they collaborate, they open to innovation. It's fantastic. I also have to thank the presence and acknowledge the presence of several Ministers of Healthcare that are present here throughout the session. I have Dr. Cabral from Cape Verde, the representation of Minister of Healthcare, who could not be here in presence. A round of applause, I think, for these participants that travel so far away to be here. Imadueno Cabral, thank you. I also have to acknowledge the presence of another Ministry of Healthcare, one of the most innovative ones in Spain, from the Basque country, Iñaki Gutiérrez. Thank you so much for your participation, your leadership. I think I've put him in 3 sessions and he didn't complain, including the closing, which is the 4th. So thank you so much, Iñaki, and your contributions were highly valuable. To our sponsors, last word, all this dialogue is not possible without the participation, the collaboration of our sponsors, our global partner, MTG Research and Development Lab, that's supporting us in these 2. That's the picture I would like to take. Thank you, Reese. Wow, what a challenge. This is the starting of this collaboration process, and it was an interesting post, and let it reveal the enthusiasm that we generated with this collaboration in Wales. And specifically as a main partner in Wales, Atos, and in the person of David William Lewis, the sole representative. They were here, few members. A round of applause to David, please, because he also contributed brilliantly to the success of this summit.
Everybody is looking for better healthcare solutions. What if AI could be the answer? AI in healthcare isn't just a buzzword, it's revolutionizing patient care. With AI, we can achieve more accurate diagnoses and personalized treatments tailored specifically to each patient. AI systems analyze vast amounts of medical data at lightning speed, identifying patterns that might be missed by human eyes. This means early detection of diseases, fewer errors, and more effective treatments. But the magic doesn't stop there. AI helps streamline administrative tasks, giving healthcare professionals more time to focus on what they do best, caring for patients. The result? Enhanced patient outcomes and improved quality of life. So whether it's predicting patient needs or making real-time decisions, AI is transforming healthcare, one patient at a time. Embrace the future with AI-driven healthcare solutions. Because better health outcomes start with better technology. Ready to take the leap? AI in healthcare, better diagnoses and treatments, making healthcare smarter, one innovation at a time.